Hello and welcome back to the vlog. If this is your first time stumbling on one of my videos, hi, welcome, I'm Taylor. It has been a while since I've done a sit down video. My cat is being absolutely wild. Anytime I sit on the floor, the dog and cat come running. The only reason the dog's not here is because she's locked up in the bedroom right now. Like literally the cat just knocked over the books. Anyway, chaos to begin with. It has been a while since I've done a sit down video, and today we are going to chat all the books that I read in June because I do in fact believe that this is the most books that I've read in a month. So hopefully this is some relatable content for you guys, because I feel like, well, I do love following everybody that I follow in the book world. Sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, like when people are like, this was a slow month for me, I only read 15 books. I'm like, oh, okay, well, my goodness. So hopefully it's a little bit more relatable. I think the most books that I've read up to this point was 7 books, October of last year. Was it 8? Well, my husband's saying maybe it was 8. So maybe 8, maybe it's 8. October last year, I'm pretty sure. And that was when I read the Ruinous Love trilogy too. And I have a vivid memory. So anyway, we're getting too chatty. We're going to chat all the books that I read in June. There's some really good ones. I just felt like this was a much deserved video because there are books in here that are now some of my all-time favorites, and I will be rereading them. Starting off strong with First Time Caller. This is what I began June with, and I could not have begun the month in a better way. This is now one of my all-time favorite romance books. If you watched the vlog of me reading this, you saw me just literally sobbing while I finished this book, and I could not shut up about it. There's nothing bad that anybody could say to me about this book. I was born in 1990. I was raised on Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan rom-coms, and that is what this is. After finishing this, I immediately purchased Sleepless in Seattle and watched it, and literally it was just a full, well-rounded, happy moment. I was just literally the happiest I've been. I was so happy. Anywho, if you have not read this book, this tracks Aiden and Lucy. Aiden works at a radio station where he is the host of the romance hotline in Baltimore, and basically he probably shouldn't be the host of this hotline because he's super pessimistic about love. Pretty much just is like, I don't believe in it, I'm not gonna find it, I've given up on it. His boss at the radio station is starting to be like, hey, you know, you gotta kind of give off a different energy here. Well, one night, Lucy's daughter calls in hoping to find love for her mom, and this prompts Lucy and Aiden to have a very good conversation that all of Baltimore, and probably people outside of Baltimore that are listening to the radio station, absolutely fall in love with the two of them. And this just leads to a very, very fun but deep and moving story about family and just finding love when you've given up hope, and it just bottles up such good feeling. The only thing that I regret is not picking up this book sooner because it sat on my shelf for 2 months, which is far too long. If this is on your shelf, pick it up or read it. If you just want a very guaranteed good romance movie like a Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks film, this is for you. I then read the rebelblueranchseries, and guys, when I tell you that I was like, cowboy romance is not for me. I'm not a country girly. I live in Texas, but it's not my vibe. Not into the cowboys, not into the country music. I was wrong. I was literally wrong. I have a few books by Elsie Silver, and I haven't picked them up because they just are a little bit bigger. So if you're wanting to get into cowboy romance and you just want something that's digestible and that you can honestly read the entire series just in a few weeks, I read this series in 2 weeks. It's perfect. I don't think any of the books are longer than 350 pages, and it's one of those where you get through, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how I just read 100 pages. You just get through it so quickly. However, be prepared. I fell in love with Rebel Blue Ranch. I felt like I lived there. This is my family. These were my friends. Also, these are characters that are my age. I rarely get to read stories of characters that are in their early 30s, and I just feel like this made that even more relatable for me. If you're a romance girly, you're gonna get everything that you want out of this series. You're gonna get friends to lovers, second chances, grumpy sunshine, single dad, enemies to lovers, found family. You're gonna have this gorgeous country backdrop, which I just never even would have imagined, and now I'm like, do I need to travel up to more places that are just in the country, in the mountains? Maybe I do. Also, I began to follow lylasage on socials, and she's just so fun. I just really love her, and I can't wait to read her new book that's coming out, and just anything that woman writes, I will be immediately picking up. She is now going to be an auto-buy author for me. I feel like everybody has to mention who their favorite couple was or who their favorite characters were, and I have to say it's really, really hard for me to choose because every book, you're just like, there's no way the next one's gonna top this, and then it's just as good. I will say the couple that I think about the most is the couple from Swift and Saddled, the second book, which is Ada and Weston. I was not expecting this. Also, can we have a moment for literally the cover of all these books is gorgeous, and Lila talks about why she chose the covers for each book and how they represent each couple, and I just thought that was just really beautiful details. Anywho, I think about this couple the most. I felt the most relatable to the female main character, and just in general, I feel like the couple in here, I just felt like I could see my husband a lot in this male main character, and so I think this is the one that I come back to the most. However, I love every couple. I think about all of them. I was literally up last night just thinking about Rebel Blue Ranch and all the couples and just reminiscing because it was just such a good time. I will say I do think Dusty from Wild and Wrangled is my favorite male main character though. I just think he's like the perfect man, honestly. Like if he wanted to, he would. He's honest. He's not toxic. He just waits for the woman that he loves for his entire life, and there's just something about that I find so romantic. So I think Dusty ultimately is the one I think about the most, and I think also he's probably super my type with just like a sleeve of tattoos. I feel like that, like literally that's exactly what my husband has, and you know, just like messy hair. I felt like Dusty was my type. But all the couples, literally everyone. You love every female main character, every male main character. You love the ranch, you love the town, you love the family, you love everyone. And it was just so good. And when I tell you that I was literally depressed to finish this and I sobbed on my couch for like an hour, my husband was like, "You are inconsolable. What do I do?" I was unwell. And then I proceeded to like get in my car, and I think we like went to Walmart or the grocery store that night, and I put on the playlist for Wild and Wrangled, Cam's playlist for Dusty that she gives him, and I just listened on Spotify just like crying and reminiscing on being like 15, 16, 17 years old, like listening to Metro Station, Jack's Mannequin, Taking Back Sunday. I was like, this is literally like when they were in high school, I was in high school, so it was just so relatable for me, and I think that's also why I loved it so much. But I can't see anybody who likes romance reading this series and not loving it. I then read One Italian Summer, and this is quite the switch up just because it is a very emotional book. However, this is now one of my all-time favorite books. This to me is like, I love romance and I love fun stuff, and I love, the kicking your feet silly stuff, but this to me is just a good book. Like I don't know how anybody could read this and not think, oh my gosh, this is a very good book. I have nothing bad to say about this. This book follows a young woman named Katie who loses her mother. There are no spoilers here, by the way. All of this information you can get on the back of these books, so I'm not spoiling anything for you guys. Katie loses her mom, who was like her soulmate, her best friend, literally her everything, and she just feels like she does not know who she is in this world anymore. And as somebody who loves my mom in that same manner, and who literally thinks like this is like the worst nightmare, it was really beautiful to follow Katie's journey through grief. And she ends up taking a trip to Italy that her and her mom had planned, and they never got to do because her mom passed, and she takes it by herself. And when she gets there, she finds none other than her mom when her mom was 30. So there is some magical realism in here. It's just it's beautiful. It's Italy, it's magical. You're just getting through Katie's grief with her. You are seeing who her mom was and who her mom was in a transition to becoming a mother. And I just think this is a beautiful love letter to all women, especially to mothers and daughters, to that relationship. And I just, this book is beautiful. Like honestly, just thinking about it, like the back of my nose is burning and my eyes are like gonna get watery because it's honestly so beautiful. Perfect summer read. However, if you're gonna read it, just know that it is emotional, and like if you have any triggers around like mother-daughter relationships, just bear that in mind. But this is now one of my all-time favorite books. I then read The Conditions of Will by Jessahastings. This is my first Jessahastings book, and now I get the hype. I honestly loved her writing. I loved how unapologetic she was about her views on some very hot topics, especially in our climate right now. I really appreciated that about her. After finishing this, I immediately ordered the Magnolia Park series because I haven't read that yet, and I hear nothing but good things. And I ordered the original UK cover versions, and they're all coming like individually across the span of like 6 weeks, but they are coming. I have 2 so far right behind me, if you can see here. I'm literally so excited for them. This book was incredible. I honestly didn't know what I was getting into. I don't even think like I read the flap on the inside. I just knew that I needed to read a Jessahastings book, and everyone was raging about this. Also, a moment for the artwork, just absolutely beautiful. I follow the artist who does Jessahastings covers, and she's just a very talented woman. I love that Jessa found a local artist to do her covers as well. This book follows Georgia, who has a lot of family trauma, so definitely be sure to read your triggers. She's now based in London and studying to become a human lie detector, which is really cool, and I really nerded out over that because I've never read anything like that, and as somebody who like loved Criminal Minds, I just felt like this was very cool perspective and just was very cool to read. She is forced to go back to her hometown in South Carolina, which she had left when she was much younger in a very tragic way because her father has passed, and she's forced to be back in this town, back in her childhood home, and back around her siblings and her mother, which she does not have a relationship with. And this takes a lot of unexpected turns. I don't want to give anything away. It's just a book that if you just need to sit down and like experience it for yourself. I think it's very hard to explain this book as well without giving it away. I just love Jessa's writing, and I just loved, again, how unapologetic she was. I really loved Georgia. You are rooting for her the entire time, and I feel like the romance in here was very well done, very well placed. I liked the timing of it, and as somebody who is one of 5 siblings, I feel like the sibling dynamics in here were just very, very well portrayed. I am married to an only child, and we often have conversations about how he just will never understand like the sibling dynamic and the way that we ebb and flow, and it's so true. Like, unless you have a lot of siblings, like, it's just a dynamic that most people don't understand, and I feel like that was portrayed very, very well in here. So I have nothing bad to say about this book. I'm so excited to read more of her writing, and if you have read this, I would just love to hear about it. Let me know. I have not read anything like it. And then I rounded out the month with Lights Out. My hope was to have finished this and caught up. However, I did not get to finish Caught Up. I'm still reading that one. I will say that I did not love Lights Out as much as I think everybody else did. I also have discovered about myself that I'm not a dark romance girly. If you have been watching my vlogs, then pretty much everything that I've said in today's video is not news to you. I have shared my perspectives and ratings with you in real time when I'm reading these books and when I finish them in my vlogs. However, I thought that I was going to love it a bit more. I'm still going to give dark romance a chance. I did really love like the Ruinous Love trilogy. That is like top tier, one of my all-time favorite series that I've read. So I kind of was expecting the same. I did love the banter here between the male main character and the female main character. I do love the concept of just like getting into the human psyche and portraying just kind of crazy things. And I loved the idea of like getting rid of bad people, like, if you know, you know. So it was very fun. I'd recommend this if you do love like banter and you love dark romance and you kind of love like darker, more unhinged themes. I'm reading Caught Up right now and I'm enjoying it. I think just to the same degree though. They're not books that, they're nothing to write home about in my opinion, but they are fun. So that is all the books that I read in the month of June. It was 8 books. I am very proud of that. I feel like that is a very good amount of books for a full-time working girly to read. I would love to hear what you read in June. What are some of your top reads? I'm debating on also doing like a mid-year check-in and just kind of filming everything I've read up until this point, because this is also the year that I have read the most books. So I'm thinking about doing that. If that's something you're interested in seeing, let me know. As always, thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed just doing a little sit-down video again. If you love reading content and bookish vlogs and lifestyle vlogs, be sure to subscribe. I would love to have you around, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.